For centuries, people believed the Amazon rainforest was nothing more than an endless ocean of trees, a place where nature had remained untouched for thousands of years, a vast green wilderness where no large civilization had ever existed. But today, that old belief is beginning to collapse, because beneath this enormous jungle lies something that may be one of the greatest forgotten secrets of human history. Imagine flying high above the Amazon. As far as the eye can see, there is nothing but green. Millions upon millions of trees forming a thick carpet that stretches across the land. It looks wild, untouched, and ancient. But if you could somehow remove the dense canopy of leaves and branches, you might see something completely unexpected beneath it. Ancient roads, geometric structures, water canals, and the remains of cities where thousands of people once lived. For a very long time, scientists believed the Amazon could not support large civilizations. The main reason was the soil. Amazonian soil is naturally poor in nutrients. Heavy rains constantly wash minerals away, making large-scale agriculture extremely difficult. Because of this, researchers assumed that only small groups of hunter-gatherers had ever lived in the region. According to this theory, the Amazon had always been sparsely populated. But over the past few decades, strange discoveries began to challenge that idea. In several parts of the Amazon, archaeologists found unusual patches of extremely fertile black soil known as Terra Preta, which means black earth. Unlike the surrounding soil, Terra Preta is rich in nutrients and remains fertile for hundreds or even thousands of years. What made this discovery truly remarkable was the realization that this soil was not natural. It was created by humans. Ancient people had mixed charcoal, plant remains, bones, pottery fragments, and organic waste to produce a rich artificial soil. This process transformed the poor Amazonian ground into highly productive farmland. Suddenly, the old assumption that agriculture was impossible in the rainforest no longer made sense, and that led to a powerful question. Why would ancient people invest so much effort into creating fertile soil unless they needed to feed large populations? The existence of Terra Preta suggested that far more people once lived in the Amazon than scientists had ever imagined. For years, this remained only a theory, but modern technology would soon provide stronger evidence. In recent decades, archaeologists began using a revolutionary technology known as LiDAR. This system sends millions of laser pulses from aircraft toward the ground. Some of those pulses pass through gaps in the forest canopy and bounce back from the surface below. By measuring these reflections, scientists can create detailed maps of the landscape hidden beneath dense vegetation. When researchers applied LiDAR scanning in parts of the Amazon basin, the results were astonishing. Beneath the forest, they discovered the outlines of massive human structures, long, straight roads stretching for kilometers through the jungle. Large geometric earthworks shaped like squares, circles, and rectangles, raised platforms that may have supported buildings, and networks of canals designed to manage water. These were not random structures, they were carefully planned. In regions of Bolivia and Brazil, archaeologists have identified hundreds of these ancient sites. Some appear to be large urban centers connected by networks of roads and causeways. The layout of these settlements suggests deliberate city planning, something normally associated with complex civilizations. Some of these sites are estimated to be over 2,000 years old. and many researchers now believe that these settlements may have supported populations of thousands or even tens of thousands of people. One of the most fascinating discoveries is the presence of long, straight roads hidden beneath the forest floor. Some of these ancient roads stretch for several kilometers and connect different settlements together. The precision of these roads suggests careful engineering and coordinated construction. This means these societies were not isolated tribes. They were connected communities that likely shared trade, communication, and cultural traditions. In addition to roads, researchers have found evidence of sophisticated agricultural systems. In flood-prone areas, ancient people built raised fields to protect crops from seasonal flooding. These elevated farming platforms allowed them to grow food even during heavy rains. In other areas, canals were constructed to control the movement of water across the landscape. These canals may have served multiple purposes, including irrigation, drainage, and transportation. Such systems required deep knowledge of the environment and long-term planning. Instead of destroying the forest, the people who lived here learned how to work with it. Many scientists now believe that large parts of the Amazon landscape were actually shaped by human activity over thousands of years. Some tree species that dominate the forest today appear to have been deliberately cultivated by ancient populations. Trees producing fruits, nuts, and other useful resources are often found concentrated around ancient settlement sites. This suggests that the Amazon rainforest may not be entirely natural. Instead, it may be partially the result of long-term human management. In other words, parts of the forest itself could be considered a kind of ancient garden. But if such advanced societies existed in the Amazon, what happened to them? Why did their cities disappear? Why did the forest swallow their roads and buildings? The answer may lie in one of the greatest demographic catastrophes in human history. When Europeans first arrived in South America in the 16th century, they brought more than ships, weapons, and explorers. They also brought diseases that were completely unknown to the indigenous populations of the Americas. Diseases such as smallpox, measles, and influenza spread rapidly among native communities. Because indigenous populations had never been exposed to these illnesses before, they had no natural immunity. The results were devastating. In many regions of the Americas, historians estimate that up to 90% of the indigenous population died within a few generations. Entire communities vanished. Cities were abandoned. Agricultural systems collapsed. Without people to maintain them, fields returned to wilderness. Roads became covered with vegetation. Buildings slowly decayed. Over the course of several centuries, the forest grew back and reclaimed the land. Eventually, almost all visible traces of these ancient civilizations disappeared beneath the expanding jungle. When later explorers traveled through the Amazon, they saw what appeared to be an untouched wilderness. They assumed it had always been that way. But today, archaeology is revealing a very different story. The Amazon may once have been home to millions of people. Complex societies may have flourished here for centuries, adapting to one of the most challenging environments on Earth. These people built cities, engineered landscapes, and developed agricultural systems that allowed them to thrive in the heart of the rainforest. Yet their story was almost completely forgotten. Even today, we are only beginning to understand the true scale of these ancient civilizations. Large areas of the Amazon remain unexplored. Every year, new discoveries are made. More structures appear on LiDAR scans. More evidence emerges from archaeological excavations. It is very likely that hundreds, perhaps even thousands, of ancient settlements are still hidden beneath the trees. The deeper scientists look, the more the story changes. What was once believed to be an empty wilderness may actually be one of the largest archaeological landscapes on Earth. Beneath the vast canopy of the Amazon, there may still be cities waiting to be discovered. Cities where people once walked along carefully built roads, where families lived, farmed, traded, and built communities. Civilizations that rose, flourished, and eventually disappeared. Today, those places lie silent beneath the forest, but with every new discovery, the hidden history of the Amazon slowly comes back to light. And perhaps one day, when enough pieces of this enormous puzzle have been uncovered, we will finally understand the true story of the civilization that once lived beneath the Amazon rainforest. A civilization that remained hidden for centuries, quietly waiting beneath the trees.